Hello and welcome to The Sensible Witch. My name is Julie and this is a channel where we talk about common sense witchcraft. So today I would like to take a few minutes and talk to you about, as witches, the way we speak and the way we think and how that affects our reality, how that affects our lives. So magic works by you telling the universe, divine, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to call it universe from here. What you want. You say, hey, I want my job to be successful. And you send that out into the universe. You say, hey, I want my relationship to be happy. And you send that out into the universe. And the universe responds back by giving you what you want. So what you put out there is incredibly important. In the simple things that you say every day, that you think every day, and we'll go into detail about that a little bit later. But these things are very, very important as a witch, even not as a witch, and I'll tell you a story a little bit later on about how this works. So let's go back and talk about the Hermetic principles a little bit. And I mentioned this book in my book, my top 10 book review about the Hermetic principles. So several of these principles come into play here. So the first one is mentalism. So the universe is mental, and our thoughts create our reality. Your perception of things is how things actually are, and that is the principle of mentalism. Also, we're dealing with the principle of correspondence. As above, so below, as within, so without. Our reality is the same as the greater reality. So if we're putting a reality out there, without, that reality comes back to us within. So without, so within. So, or as without, so within. So that plays into this. Also, the principle of vibration. Everything vibrates. We change our vibration to shape our reality. So when you're going to do spell work, you want to get into a certain brain state to be able to do that. Theta waves can change thoughts. Gamma waves can change reality. So you vibrate to change your reality. And when you're vibrating negative, your reality becomes negative, because that's what you're sending out. So that's what you're getting back. Again, back to correspondences. As within, so without. As without, so within. It all works together. It all connects, y'all. And then the principle of cause and effect, obviously. So your mental, what you're sending out there by your mentality, by your words, by your speech, by your writing, by your thoughts, then you get back physical. That's the effects. So those are the Hermetic principles that we're kind of talking about today. And moving throughout the witchcraft space, I have met so many witches that are just so incredibly negative, complaining about everything. They say, "Oh, my life is terrible. My life's everything is horrible. I don't have a job," and all this stuff that they're complaining about. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, how these people manifest anything positive with this type of mindset? And the answer is you can't. So, the more negative you send out there, y'all, the more negative you're going to get back. The universe is saying, okay, they don't want a job because they're complaining. They don't want to do anything. They're complaining. So I'm going to send back all this crap. So what you say out loud and what you think sends the message to the universe that that's what you want. And I'm going to give you an example of this in my own life. So before I identified as a witch, before I knew anything about this, I had a bad stretch in my life where I was spending a lot of time worrying. And I would worry, especially right before going to sleep at night. So I would lie down in my bed, and then I would start this negative film going through my head of all these horrible things that I was afraid of were going to happen to me. And I would run through this film in my head every single night. I would run through it. It's awful. This is what's going to happen. It's terrible. And I would do that every single night. And it wasn't until I started learning about witchcraft that I sat back and thought to myself, my gosh, everything that I worried about came true. I manifested those worries into my life by giving them so much of my attention and by sending that out into the universe, saying, I'm playing this movie over and over and over again in my head. This obviously must be what you want, is what the universe said, and said, okay, here you go. This is what you want. This is what you asked for. So I manifested all that crap right into my life. I thought, okay, I'm not going to do that again. And then, after finding witchcraft and listening to more experienced witches, saying, be careful of your words. I had made a comment about menopause. And I said, man, this menopause is just killing me. And the witches were like, girl, you need to be careful with your words. I said, don't say that stuff, because you're sending it out into the universe saying, okay, this is how it is. And the universe is like, okay, that's how it is. That's what we'll give you back. So words matter. So, speak words of gratitude and positivity. Speak what you want, say what you want, send positivity out into the universe, and you will receive positivity back. People talk about writing, spelling. Spelling is a spell. There's a reason that it's spelled spelling, y'all. Your words matter and your thoughts matter. Like I said, don't be worrying, going through all that negativity. If you have a deep-seated worry about something, I would say the best thing to send out into the universe is to imagine the best case scenario. Okay, I'm worried that I'm not going to be able to find the love of my life. So instead of worrying about that and saying it's not going to happen to me, on the other hand, imagine it happening. Say, okay, when I find the love of my life, this is how it's going to be. This is amazing. This is great. Run through all the positive things that you want in your head, and that sends out into the universe, hey, this is what I want. I want to get this back. So, those are my thoughts today. If you have any experiences of sending things out into the universe that you didn't intend to and having them come back to you, I'd like to hear about it. So drop a comment below. Also, please like and subscribe. It helps my channel to grow. If you hit the notification bell, you will be alerted every time I release a new video. I release a new one every week. It's not constant the day I do it on. It just kind of happens as my life circumstances, but I try to get it out in the first half of the week. So, also, you can follow me on Facebook and Instagram. I'll leave those links below, and also a link to my Etsy store where I sell some fun witchy stuff. So check it out. Anyway, thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.